Hello everyone and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, bringing the latest theme park and attraction news from all around the globe. In this video, I'm going to be sharing all of the details along with my thoughts on yesterday's big announcement by Alton Towers that in 2025, 3 attractions are going to be permanently removed from the resort. In my opinion, this has come at a terrible time for Alton Towers after 2024 being a pretty weak year for the park regarding ride availability, presentation in some cases, and just the overall operation of the park. Here we are going into 2025 with this big announcement that 3 attractions are going to be removed from the resort. And you know what? It makes me really sad. It really does. Alton Towers is my home park. It's the park that I've grown up with and made me fall in love with theme parks. If it wasn't for Alton Towers, I wouldn't be standing here now with all my theme park collection. This YouTube channel probably wouldn't exist. And all the places I've been to and seen around the world, it all relates back to my home park and just growing up living right next to Alton Towers. That's why I'm so passionate about the park, and that is why I love it so much, and that's why I care so much about Alton Towers. I probably care too much about it. I'm always thinking about things there and how much potential it's got, and this makes me really, really sad. So I just wanted to get that in there straight off in this video, that I love the park. I really want to see it do well, but I also get very frustrated at some of the decisions that have been made, and I'll go more onto that later in the video, but let's just get straight in with the facts, shall we? A blog post was put on by Alton Towers last night, yesterday at the time of recording this, stating that the Blade, Flavio's Fabulous Fandango and the Alton Towers Dungeon will be permanently closed in 2025. Of course, we're going to be seeing the Blade retired after 44 years of operation. It's a Huss Rides pirate ship, a good family attraction, but obviously 44 years is a very long time to be operating a ride. It served very well its purpose at Alton Towers, and this one didn't really come as much of a shock to anyone, to be honest, because you know, we all kind of heard that there was going to be a closure down in Forbidden Valley along with the new ride coming in next year. There was going to be a closure, and that was Blade. That's why we mentioned it in our fireworks vlog a few weeks ago at the end of the season. We had a last ride on there and kind of gave that our own little send-off. I wish that Alton Towers had openly said to everyone that it was going to be closing. I think that would have been a better decision. Obviously, we've got some great sources at the park that provide a lot of information for us, you know, so it didn't come as too much of a shock. There's a news. We did give you a bit of a warning a few weeks ago that this was happening, and here we go, confirmed that the Blade has gone. I know we had a lot of comments even the other day on our recent update on the new flat ride with people saying, I don't think Blade's going anywhere, you know, it had a refurbishment, but there we go, it's now confirmed, the Blade is coming out. I think for me the saddest thing about this is it's a family attraction down in Forbidden Valley. Obviously the ride's come to the end of its life. 44 years is a long time, I completely understand that, but there should have definitely been a plan in place to have replaced that ride straight away from next season, in my opinion. And what, you know, I find surprising even more is that the new ride that's coming in is built by the same manufacturer, Huss Rides. Normally, when you buy rides in bulk or even like multi-ride deals, you can get a discount effectively. You know, we see that at parks around the world. I am really surprised that a plan wasn't put in place by Alton Towers to have just purchased a brand new swinging ship from Huss for next year, and then they could have just replaced that. Huss have been there anyway, installing the new ride. They could have put that in as well, and you know, it would have been sorted, wouldn't it? It would have kept a family attraction down in Forbidden Valley. But no, we're going to be looking at a big empty pit in 2025. So you can have this lovely new ride, which looks amazing. It looks great, it really does. We did an update on that a few days ago, but then right next to it, we're just going to have an empty pit, probably a fence around it, and nothing to see. So no, I'm disappointed in Alton Towers for not actually putting a replacement in straight away for that, even if it was a different ride. But still, I think for me, just, you know, you've got something from the same manufacturer coming in. There should have been a plan in place. We know these rides are getting old and dated. Alton Towers know these rides are getting old and dated. So much was invested in the 80s and 90s that things are all running out at the same time. We've seen that with Skyride. There's rumours about the monorail's future. So, you know, we're seeing all this happen at one time because they just haven't kept up with the investment in these older rides to keep them going at the park. Obviously, Flavio's Fabulous Fandango. Now, that's been in place, a temporary ride since 2021. Just a simple sizzler ride that was down there in the world of David Williams. It opened with the area. And just a nice family filler attraction. It's actually one of my mum's favourite rides to go on. She loves it. And obviously I appreciate it was only ever brought in as a temporary ride, along with the Retro Squad in 2021, which was 3 other temporary rides around the park. They stayed for 3 years through until the end of last year, 2023, where we saw the Retro Squad depart. But in total, for a few years, we had 4 temporary rides in the park. Then it went to 1 for this year, being Flavio's. And obviously this looked the best out of the 4 because it had like mirror balls round. It was fitting really nice with proper fencing and everything. It didn't really look that temporary other than the lights on it. So that has now left the park as well. It was actually being ran and operated by the Mellors Group that own Fantasy Island. Basically, Alton Towers had signed a contract with the Mellors Group a few years ago in 2021 to bring in these temporary rides, and Mellors were running them. But obviously that has now expired. That's come to an end. The contract's not being renewed for this ride. Again, I think for me, I'm happy to see a temporary ride gone, but it needed to have been replaced straight away, didn't it? And that's been the issue with the Retro Squad over the past few years. But yeah, that has now left the resort. Along with that, the Alton Towers dungeon that opened back in 2019 has now closed. It closed earlier this year before the summer because, of course, they were setting up for Amigos in the Afterlife, the new scare maze, the Scarefest this year for families. And yeah, it was a good attraction. I did enjoy it. I thought when we were walking through, this looks quite permanent. I'd been saying for a while, has the dungeon got a future at the resort, especially with it being an upcharge attraction? And clearly it hasn't. It's not going to be opening next year. To be honest, I think the Dungeons is done now. They haven't said that it's done forever. They've said that it's closed in 2025 because of the big investment they made at Scarefest, which is fine. I appreciate that. But of course, I think it's done. I'm not really too sad about its closure. In all honesty, I think upcharge attractions in a theme park, a paid theme park, don't work. I don't think it ever has worked. The actors inside there did a fantastic job. I don't want to say that they didn't, because they did. The run-throughs that I did have, I probably went through it about 5 times, the Alton Towers dungeon, since 2019. And every time I've been through, the actors have been 100% doing a really good job. For me, it just didn't fit in the theme park with it being an upcharge attraction. I think what didn't help attendance-wise, we walked past it all the time and it hardly ever had a queue. It was very rare it got busy. Part of the problem was, as a Merlin annual pass holder like myself, we get access to all the other dungeons free of charge in the UK. But the one at Alton Towers, you're having to pay extra for, and it was short. It didn't have any new scenes or investment since it opened, and obviously it replaced Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that was there before, a nice boat ride. And that's the thing, we're losing the boat ride. That's why I'm saying we're losing 3 rides here, because the dungeon has got that ride in there as well. It's not just the walk-through attraction, it is the boat ride. So we've lost another ride in 2025. So overall, I think this is a pretty poor announcement by Alton Towers. I think it's sad that they didn't give people the chance to have a last ride on the Blade and Flavio's, to be honest, and even a last run through the dungeon. I feel like they could have kind of drip-fed these announcements throughout the year, so it wouldn't have been like as big of a blow. It's been a bit of a PR nightmare for Alton Towers the past 24 hours. Everyone's been sharing it, everyone's been talking about it, and rightly so, I think, to be honest. I think everyone has a fair right to be upset about this one. They kept it quiet. They've just dropped it there, on a random weeknight in December. Yeah, I think it's pretty disappointing. Let's just talk about the long-term future for Alton Towers, because to be honest, it just feels like there's been no long-term kind of succession planning for rides. Obviously, with how a theme park normally operates, is you have a plan in place. You know when a ride's kind of going to come to the end of its life, or you have a good idea. With the Blade, they've been fixing it up for years. There's been rumours for years that the Blade was going to go. I think that's why people were a bit sceptical when we said at Fireworks it's going. People were like, come on, people say this every year. It gets took down every year for maintenance anyway. But no, there's just been no plan in place to replace rides in the past. And here's a bit of an interesting one for you. I've pulled up when some rides were removed from Alton Towers in the past, and just talk a bit about that they haven't replaced, all the replacements is only just come in. So much has been removed, and this has been going on for over 20 years. Go back to 2003, Dynamo was removed from the park and it wasn't replaced. The same year, Bone Shaker, another flat ride that was removed in 2003 and it wasn't replaced. Submission removed down in X Sector in 2013 and it wasn't replaced with a permanent ride. Ripsaw removed in 2015, hasn't been replaced until next year, of course, with the opening of the new top spin, but still, it's took 10 years for that, hasn't it, to replace it. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, obviously that closed in 2016, but we've not seen a permanent replacement there for the long term. Yes, there was the upcharge dungeon, but you've got this massive show building with a ride system in there, and there was no permanent replacement for the long term there, adding to capacity. I know you could pay extra for the dungeon in that space, but capacity of that boat ride that was there before was so much higher. Twirling Toadstool, that was removed 2016. Ice Age 4D, another high capacity attraction, replaced 2016. That's just been sat there empty, the building in the world of David Walliams. Enterprise removed in 2021, and then now the Blade in 2024. I mean, the fact that pretty much everything there has been removed from the park and we've not seen replacements come in is shocking, isn't it? Like, there needs to be a real plan in place for rides as they get old. We've seen that with the Sky Ride. There's no way the Sky Ride should have been closed for 2 years. If that had had the correct maintenance and work done every winter as it was needed and parts purchased that were needed to be repaired, it would not have needed to have been closed for 2 years. You know, these gondola systems operate at ski resorts around the world and other theme parks and don't have these issues. So again, it's lack of investments into the long-term future. And the sad thing is, we're hearing that the monorail is also coming towards the end of its life, and a big decision is going to have to be made about the monorail. Now, obviously with that, it's an important part of the infrastructure. It gets guests from the car parks to the theme park, which is a good 15-minute walk. It's not close. You've got, you know, all sorts of decisions to make there with that one. Do you look at relocating the entrance, but then it's nowhere near as special, not walking in through Tower Street? You know, do you put buses on all the time instead? Do you replace the monorail with a new transit system? Is the track fine for the monorail, but the trains are the issue? So can you buy some new trains and kind of retrofit them onto the existing track? You know, that's a decision what I think is going to have to be made at some point as well. So as much as the resort are staying quiet on that one, anyone that's been to the park this year will know that there's been a drastic reduction in the amount of trains on the monorail. And for what we're hearing, it really hasn't got long left without investment. So Alton Towers at the moment, I think, is in the worst place I've ever seen it. And it's had a rough history at times, hasn't it, with everything that's happened, you know, at the park. But I feel like right now there's just no like forward planning for the park, and I'm a bit concerned about the future. I really am at the moment, especially with the other problems at Merlin. As I filmed in a video a few weeks ago, there was issues at Merlin, and it was confirmed last week that Scott O'Neill is stepping down as the CEO of Merlin now. I knew there was troubles behind the scenes, and here we go. So I think for me, like, there's some real financial issues going on at the moment. I hope things get better, but what should be the UK's premier theme park at Alton Towers, you know, and what used to be, it's just slipping behind, and it feels like it's just got worse, in my opinion. You know, I hate to say it, I really do, because there has been some good changes in investment, but overall, I think the bad decisions and just lack of investment for the years has brought us to where we are now. So there we go. They're my thoughts. I feel your pain. I've read all your comments, literally. I've read hundreds and hundreds of comments over the past like 12, 13 hours, just looking at everything. And honestly, I feel exactly the same as you do. What's going on is not great at all. But there we go. Basically, one new flat ride in, 3 rides out. It's with Alton Towers, it's 1 step forward, 3 steps back sometimes. How long can it carry on like this? I mean, Universal, if that goes ahead down in Bedford, there's going to be a serious change to the UK theme park industry. There really is, because yeah, anything's possible. Anything can change. And as much as we don't want to see, you know, attractions removed and parks not do very well, and some smaller parks, you know, may not survive, you know, if Universal come to the UK, which will be very sad. But also, it's a chance for everyone to invest more, invest in quality, create fantastic experiences and good customer service, to make this wonderful industry an amazing place for everyone. And people coming over for Universal will think, let's go and visit Alton Towers. They've got a new ride. We've never been. People who've never been to the UK before might think, let's go and visit here. You know, there's a bigger picture to all this, but still, yeah, I'll save that for another video. 3 rides removed from Alton Towers for 2025. I know a lot of your thoughts already, but get them coming in down below in the video comments. I always love hearing what you guys think. But but as we're going into 2025 at Alton Towers, it's not sounding good. Let's just hope that the top spin's really well themed and enjoyable. I'm sure it will be. And let's hope that the operations are improved drastically, because we're losing even more capacity, which I do find really concerning. But there we go. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. That's just Alton Towers, isn't it, at the moment? Thanks for joining us here on the channel. If you enjoy the videos, be sure to give them a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course, we'll keep you updated with all of the latest news. Thank you for watching, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you all soon.